I've always been fascinated with military rations, from hardtack, which goes back to the Romans, to essentially the modern day, to current military rations like the MRE. And today we'll be talking about the D-Ration, or the one that tastes about as good as a boiled potato. And specifically, its sort of later development into what is known as the Tropical Bar, which is essentially a chocolate bar which doesn't melt, or doesn't melt all that much. So I'll be attempting to recreate that bar, both in its early 40s form, which is not so great, and then its later form, which is a little bit better, which is a post-war development. Today on Cooking with Christian. The D-Ration is essentially, when I say modern, I mean like the past 100 years or so. It's essentially like a modern version of hardtack. It's not intended to be tasty, it's not intended to be bitten and just enjoyed. It's basically supposed to be shaved off or busted up and put into something. One of the early requirements was essentially no better than a boiled potato, which makes sense, right? When you're giving chocolate rations to troops, you don't want them to have something which is so delicious they're just going to consume it right away, and then when they're actually on the assault, or say when the mess can't keep up with them, that they would need a ration, right? And they're not carrying around sort of the more bulky K ration, which is a full meal. They're just going to have the block of D ration, and they want them to still have that. So it's not supposed to taste all that good. Soldiers frequently complained about the taste and made jokes about it being a dysentery bar, those sorts of things, or would pawn it off on unsuspecting civilians because they didn't want them. But it didn't really have a whole lot of praise. And that's because sort of the D-Ration is essentially just, well, think of it as unsweetened chocolate, like what you'd buy, like Wood Baker's chocolate, with a little bit of sugar and oat flour and essentially some powdered milk in there and maybe artificial vanilla. I see some places where it says it was not in it, some that it was. I feel like it kind of needed to give it some kind of decent flavor. But when you think about it in that sense, it's basically just a hard brick. So it wouldn't be very palatable or very nice to have. The D-Ration actually came about in about 1937 by Colonel Paul Logan. Now the idea was, especially for the troops in the Philippines, which at the time the US had troops in the Philippines and the Pacific in general, was to have something that would not melt, which is essentially the first requirement. Because, so think about it in this sense, right? You're out in a very tropical environment. It's like 85, 200% humidity. Having chocolate in someone's kit or their pocket, I mean, it's gonna melt like instantly. So the idea is essentially to have a weight of about 8 ounces, be high in calories. It's of course not gonna melt, and taste basically like a boiled potato in its quality, not actually taste like a boiled potato. This project was given over to the Hershey Corporation, which found that the mixture was so thick and essentially like clay that their typical machines wouldn't even work, and this had to be all hand done and pressed into molds. And then essentially it was left to dry, and it became so hard that they didn't really know what to do with it. It was given out to the Philippines as like sort of troop trials, and the troops didn't really like it. Logan was very impressed by it, and it does make sense as sort of a very early version of that high calorie, almost like a protein bar kind of idea, like a very high calorie, compact. It doesn't need to taste super good. It does work for that. Now, considering what these were made out of, they're pretty shelf stable. They could probably last for decades. In fact, I'm sure some of them did last for decades in US Army storage. The troops didn't like the bitter taste, which I get it. You're not using that much sugar, and chocolate, just raw chocolate, is kind of bitter, but they did serve their purpose. Little fun fact that I like about them is that They were even made to be gas-proof because, of course, World War II, they're still issuing gas masks, all those sorts of things, which we still do now. But that they actually made them gas-proof by sealing the actual containers with wax, which I find kind of funny. Because I don't think the troops would have minded too much if they were destroyed by a gas attack and they'd have to throw them away. I think they'd almost be kind of pleased by that. So by the end of the war, there were about 3 billion of these made, which I get. You're gonna give these to troops, they're being used or being thrown away or traded. But it's really a testament to, I guess, their success that they continued to make them all throughout the war. So much like hardtack in the past, like I said, these were not intended to just be consumed. Hardtack was frequently busted up and put into soups or stews, especially on ship, made into what was called lapskaus or rubaboo. And these were very similar, right? Troops would shave them and put them in their instant coffee, or they would simply shave them and eat them, or bust them up, because you couldn't just bite into them, or even if maybe you could, you'd probably regret it when you saw the army dentist later. Now, specifically for today, what we'll be making is the Tropical Bar, which, like I said, sounds good. When I first heard about it quite some time ago, I thought, oh wow, that's gotta have coconut in it maybe, or pineapple. And then you realize, no, it's called tropical because it won't melt. So the Tropical Bar, which was also developed by Hershey's, is more like a traditional chocolate bar. It's a little sweeter, a little bit of an improved taste, but really it's just it won't melt. Much like the D-Ration, although with this you could actually eat it. You didn't have to shave it off or bust it up. Now, these tropical bars were developed into the war. And while there were things when the war began and right at the beginning of the war, like M&Ms, which were extremely popular because of the hard candy coating, they wouldn't melt, so troops could actually enjoy them. The Tropical Bar was supposed to be in with the K-Ration, which is a full meal. Now, the K-Ration is essentially shelf stable. It's a lot of canned meats and crackers and instant coffee and things like that. So including a chocolate which wouldn't melt and essentially would survive, which didn't have a shorter shelf life like a typical chocolate bar would be really useful. The Tropical Bar in its ingredients and how it's made is pretty similar to the D-Ration. The main difference being is less oat flour, which the D-Ration has, and the oat flour is sort of its least popular part, I guess I would say, which makes sense, right? It's not going to give you that smooth chocolate taste. It's going to give you a hard, gritty brick. So it's a reduction in oat flour, an increase in sugar, and most certainly artificial vanilla, which was not actually used at first, which I'm kind of surprised at. I don't know why they didn't do that. I mean, it is during World War II, so they want to ration those sorts of things, but you would still think that they would do that. But they didn't do that until much later post-war, into the 50s, when they reformulated the Tropical Bar to be much more palatable. What I didn't know is that the Tropical Bar continued on into the Korean and the Vietnam War, which I get, especially Vietnam. I mean, Korea was sort of infamous for the cold weather and just bad climate in general during the war. And Vietnam makes sense. It's really hot. But essentially they were using the same formula from World War II. I mean, it had been improved, like I said, but overall it was the same thing. And it was still being issued to troops. Now, these were still being made post-Vietnam War, really up into the first Gulf War. But at that point, you see a lot more of what we think of today in an MRE, a lot of vacuum-sealed things, which aren't going to melt, like the pound cake or whatnot. So these things really faded away. And also just candy in general had a lot more heat resistance, a lot more ingredients which prevented them from melting in general. So I don't think it was totally necessary to develop a specific candy to give to troops for that. It's just not really necessary, and I'm assuming that For the Hershey company, it wasn't really worth it anymore, although it's a government contract. They're gonna get paid anyway. So there's no recipe for the Tropical Bar, but if you're just looking at the ingredients, you can kind of get an idea for how it's made. And that being unsweetened chocolate, like a baking chocolate, but the 100% just chocolate, no sugar, no nothing added to it. And then cocoa butter, which you add in with the chocolate and you melt that. And then oat flour, powdered sugar, and non-fat, well, powdered non-fat milk as well. And I did throw some salt in there as well. But that's really all you're going to use for it. The original ones also had vitamin B1 to combat beriberi. But I'm not going to buy B1 vitamin tablets and crush them up and put them in there. I'm just going to save myself from that one. But that's sort of the more original formula. And then I'm going to make a second batch with that one, which will have less oat flour, more sugar, and the vanilla flavoring in there as well. I'm going to compare the two of them and see how they are. Now, when I make this, of course, it's going to take essentially an entire day because I'm going to have to make it, then let them set and put them in the fridge and then try them tomorrow. So if you're making them at home, it'll take about that long. So why don't we start? So first we're going to take the chocolate and the cocoa butter. And I'm just using about 3.5 ounces of the unsweetened chocolate and about 3/4 of an ounce of the cocoa butter. It wasn't very hard to get the cocoa butter. I mean, I couldn't buy it in a store nearby. I just bought it online, but you can certainly find it. You don't want to use like a really nice chocolate, like a Ghirardelli or something really nice that's already sweetened as well, because that is most certainly not what they were using back then. I mean, baker's chocolate today is quite nice, but you don't want something that is of a high quality, I guess I would say. So once this melts, you're going to add all of your dry ingredients. You're going to add your powdered sugar, the milk powder, the oat flour. Now you don't have to go buy oat flour yourself. I simply took oatmeal and I ground it and I kept grinding it until it was very, very fine. And that's really what you want. You don't want big pieces of oatmeal in it or flour, I guess you would say. But for the powdered sugar, I used 1.5 ounces of powdered sugar. I used just 1 ounce of the skim milk powder and then 3/4 of an ounce of oat flour. And I mixed that all in. It becomes very stiff. It's very thick. It's almost like clay. And then we're going to keep that over the heat just for a few minutes, just to sort of get rid of any excess moisture. And then we're just going to press that into our molds. Now also, the second version is pretty similar. You make it the exact same way. So still 3.5 ounces of the unsweetened chocolate, 1 ounce of cocoa butter. Then I did about 2 ounces of the powdered sugar, 1 ounce still of the skim milk powder. I cut the oat flour down to 1/4 of an ounce, and then I added a half teaspoon of the artificial vanilla flavoring. Now, typically when I make things, I use regular vanilla, but I figured I would give it more of an authentic taste at the time. So I just used the artificial, and then also a pinch of salt as well. It's going to be a little softer, and then we're also going to put that in the mold, and we're going to refrigerate them and try them out tomorrow. I started off by trying the original 1940s recipe for the tropical chocolate, and I was actually surprised. I actually really like it. I almost like it more than the updated one with more sugar. It's very much sort of just like a dark chocolate bar, but with that oat flour, it does have a different consistency to it, but it is actually really good, I have to admit. And then trying the more updated one, that one has more sugar and less oat flour, and that one is good too. It has more of like a normal chocolate bar sort of taste. Well, I'm actually pretty surprised. I really enjoyed the chocolate, both the original and the more modern formula with more sugar. I mean, modern as in it was changed 10 years later. But
I really liked it, and I've always been really interested in those sorts of things. So I'll probably try and make it like a D-Ration next, just because I'm curious just how bad that is, because it's like a brick essentially. So I'm sure it's not so great, but yeah, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.